Ladies and
No.
gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome to the program Emily Kinney. You know her from a number. Here's the deal. I realized, Emily, that if I read your entire bio, we'd be out of time by the time
Oh,
I was done. So I'm gonna hit the highs, the high notes here. So of course, actress, singer, songwriter, performer, and artist. Let's go way back. So, correct me if I'm wrong. You were born in Nebraska. Does that sound right?
yeah, Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay. You went to
hmm
college there, and you were in 20 plays during college.
I guess so. Probably more. I did a lot of plays. Like I would do sometimes back to back, like, do sound on one play, be in another play. The program I was in was like a BFA theater program. So we really were in, always there were like one acts and then there was like a big musical like each semester or a big, Shakespeare play or, so I was in a lot of plays. Yeah.
And what was your do you remember what was your first quote unquote professional paid performance?
Yeah. My first show was actually, so I actually did a transfer program and I studied at NYU for a semester. And I studied at Playwrights Horizons. And while I was there, I I obviously wasn't planning to stay because it was just NYU was really expensive and whatever. But I started going to auditions that I found like in Backstage and on Playbill.com. And so and I ended up getting something. So that's why I stayed in New York the first time. And then and that play was Midsummer Night's Dream. And it was for this regional theater company, Theater of New Canaan. And we would rehearse in New York City at Wings Theater downtown. And then once the show started running, we would just take the train every night from Grand Central to New Canaan,
Oh God.
do the show and come back every night. So I think it wasn't 8 shows a week like Broadway. It was more like six shows a week. But that was my first like professional real job, and I was Hermia and Snug the Joiner
You
from from
you
Midsummer.
ah you
The
mentioned
great one.
New Canaan in Connecticut, of course. So that I'm sure you don't remember, but I did meet you in Connecticut at a private event. I believe it was Mohegan Sun, and and
Oh,
you had a very long line for meet and greets, and then you performed incredibly well, I should say, in the what they I guess they would call the Wolf Den. We're gonna be.
yeah,
Do you remember that?
I
Maybe.
do. I
Oh, you
remember
do.
those shows. They're really fun. Yeah.
I'm going to jump around just a little bit, and then we're going to
Okay.
also drop in some questions, a long line of people with questions in chat. But you were
Okay.
cast. You were cast as Emily in Showtime, The Big C. You were in Law and Order, Criminal Intent, a variety of recurring guest and cameo roles in various films. You're busy. God, you're busy. In films and television shows. And then we come to, I don't know, Walking Dead. Do you remember either A, not interviewing, what's the word I'm looking for?
Auditioning.
Auditioning, thank you.
Yes.
Auditioning, and then how long between that and getting the news, and what was that like?
Yeah. So yeah, I auditioned for Walking Dead once for the casting director and their team, and then once for Frank Darabont and the creative team, just over Skype, which was kind of like a new thing. Now we do so many auditions over Zoom and just self tapes, but at the time I was used to always going like in office. So I just had 2 auditions, and then I found out maybe like a week later. And yeah, I was really excited. At this time, Walking Dead had only aired their first 6 episodes because the first season was only 6. And so it really wasn't like, it hadn't really gained a ton of popularity yet. I mean, it was big with the comic book fans, but as far as it being pretty mainstream, I feel like that didn't happen till like season 3 or season 4. So to be honest, I didn't know a ton about the show. Like, I just really liked the writing. Like, I liked the scenes. I felt connected to it. And obviously, it was my kind of thing. And, like, when I got to set, the other actors I met, like, yeah, we all just, like, you kind of can fit into a certain world. And I definitely felt connected to it right away.
And when
So,
and when
yeah.
you were little, you used to watch kind of scary stuff, right?
I did when I was little. It's funny. I almost feel like now I'm more sensitive to like scary stuff. But when I was a teenager, I loved like Scream, and I loved like what's the one the Freddy Krueger movies, like
Oh yeah.
Nightmare on Elm Street, and I remember checking all of them out in the summer and like watching them with my friends. And I do remember watching them in the afternoon, and I'm guessing that's because they did actually scare me a little bit. But I would watch, like, Are You Afraid of the Dark on Nickelodeon was, like, my favorite. So I really liked all the scary stuff when I was little, and, ghost stories and things like that. So, but then as I've gotten older, maybe I'm, like, a little more sensitive to anything that feels too, like, real. Like, I still like scary movies. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm getting all these text messages. I wonder. I need to put on Do Not Disturb. I'm like, can you hear those little dings? But yeah, now I'm like, I like some scary movies, but I'm a little more sensitive. Like even watching Walking Dead, I'm like, okay, that's enough,
You have become synonymous with the amazing brand of The Walking Dead. Here's what I mean. A, you win a Saturn Award. You contribute to The Walking Dead's original soundtrack, Volume 1, which we're going to get to musically. You collaborated with, was it Lauren Cohan? Is that right? Cohen?
Yeah, we both sang it. The Parting Glass. We actually sang that song at the end, or the first episode of season 3, the end of the episode. We were all sitting around the campfire. So that's where that song came from.
And
Yeah.
last year you became a very big part of their music, not music video. God, we'll get to that with Train, but the video game, right? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I got to voice Beth in the video game, so that was really exciting. I mean, like, I love being a part of the show and, like, seeing how it's grown. And, yeah, so they asked me to do it, and I said yes. And it was really fun because I got to kind of revisit. It's so funny because I actually even got to revisit lines that I had said, like, so many years ago. So it was kind of fun to, like, get back in Beth's voice and remember different little moments or scenes. And yeah, it was a really fun couple days.
Here's a question from Chad, Emily. Let's see. Actually, it's just a comment, not a question. It's from from my sister Susan, huge fan. But she says, "Hey, my favorite part was the episodes of you and Daryl alone in the cabin." So there you go.
Oh, that's nice. I like those scenes too.
Let's see. I was going to ask you. Oh, so so of course, all good things must eventually come to an end. Despite the fact you continue to contribute to the brand with musically and otherwise, but how much heads up time do they give you that you're going to be written out of the script?
Yeah, I don't think they had like a certain standard, you know what I mean? Like everyone's situation was a little different. So yeah, I really didn't know. I only knew kind of the night before the script came out for the whole cast. So about a week or so before we started filming it. Because sometimes when it's like we're filming the whole season, we only get the next episode we're going to film like a week or two before. So, so yeah, I only knew, about a week or a week and a half before we started filming that episode.
Someone else wants to know, did you ever feel afraid of The Walking Dead on the set? Because I think
no.
no, actually I think I saw an interview of you and you talked about sort of like how you would get into character and have to stay in character, and it was kind of sad, right? sometimes?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for me, like, well, it's not so much about the like being afraid. Like that part wasn't as hard for me to like kind of jump into. But if I had like a really sad scene, like, I'm thinking about like when Herschel gets his leg cut off, or even when like, the governor kills my father, where you're coming back to the scene to get like over and over again all day. And for me, it's hard to like, how in real life you get sad, you cry, and then your body sort of naturally recovers. Like the crying kind of, and so I would try to, and like for me, it's not like I'm not like doing some trick in my eye. Like I know some actors who it's almost like a physical mechanism. I like feel sad. So I would try to like stay in that zone. And so, yeah, I mean, I do kind of like try to stay in the zone during the scene, but every day is so different. Like that's what's really fun about acting is I sort of have to be honest with myself about like where I'm at, just regardless of the scene, like what my body feels like, where my emotions are that day, how easy it is for me to like pop in and out or really, really focus, how much dialogue there is. Like a lot of these things sort of contribute to how I am going to play the scene or how much I need to sort of like stay in it. And so I think for some of those scenes that were more emotional, and there were so many on The Walking Dead where I had to be so emotional, so I would find myself feeling like I kind of needed to like stay in a zone, and it was hard.
Two more Walking Dead questions, and then we're going to move on to the fun
Okay.
stuff musically. Another
Yeah.
question from chat. Who is your closest friend today from The Walking Dead?
My closest friend today, man, that's hard to pick one. Yeah, we have this nice little group chat actually. And so, yeah, I would say all the people on that group chat. I mean, it's hard to pick just one, but there's a bunch of us who all, work together. I get to see Chad at conventions a lot because we have the same convention, like comic book convention agent.
Sure.
So I do see him a lot. I mean, I love Melissa. I don't know. It's hard to Ernest Dickerson, who was one of the directors of the show. I get to see him a lot because I see he's again on this like kind of like group of us that sometimes get together or we'll text each other about things, and yeah, I
Was that
feel
was
like
was that filmed in Georgia, by the way? Do I have that right?
yeah, Georgia, Atlanta.
Ah, oh, okay. One last question on Walking Dead. Do you have any favorite memories or behind the scenes stories from your time working on the project, or any particular moments that impacted you?
Uh-huh. It's really hard to pick just one because I was on the show for like, it was like 4 years, 5 years of my life. And, but so I just kind of decide on whichever one like pops into my head. And the one that popped into my head, because like people always ask me that question, like, oh, what was, what really impacted you, or what's your favorite moment on set or something, and there's so many, like I cannot pick one. But the one that's popping in my head is when I got done shooting my first episode as Beth. The end of the episode was when oh my gosh, I can't even, but when Sophia comes out of the barn, and I realized also that my mom was in the barn, and I'm really upset. But the reason that day was so impactful to me is because it was the first day I got to shoot with the whole cast and kind of see how everyone worked and see how we all fit together magically so well, and how everyone was so focused. And also there was like this big crane shot. And so that was really, and I just hadn't really worked on a project that had that kind of, with all the zombies, like special effects makeup, using this huge crane to get this amazing shot. Like I really hadn't worked on a show that had that kind of caliber or that level of stuff going on. And I just remember, and like we would cheer each other on in between shots. And I remember being in the van on the way back to set, and I just remember thinking like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Like I'm on like a real movie. Like I just remember being very like, grateful and thankful and just like, wow, this is special, you know, like this is really something, you know?
You know what?
So,
Sometimes life, you know, when things are happening, you have no idea at that moment, in the moment, just how amazing that even is. It's just okay. It's another day. Emily wakes up. She goes to set, and then you look back or you sit and you think about it and go, "Oh my God! Do you realize how amazing this is?"
yeah. It was definitely one of those moments where I was in the van and like, whoa, what did I just do today? This is really cool. And like, I've just never been a part of something like on this scale, you know? So it was really, exciting.
You know, for both acting and your music career, how do you balance those two things that could be completely different, and how do you approach them differently creatively? That's a poorly asked question, but I think you might
It's
get the
okay.
drift.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I feel like creatively they really feed each other. Every time I get cast on a show, you know, a lot of times I get to go to a new city. I get to meet a whole new group of people. I get to explore another character's point of view. And all those kinds of things in life really feed your imagination, really feed new poems, more stories. You know, I have more perspective. I have new things to say. So as a songwriter, I feel like um, sometimes it can be like, do I have anything to say today? Or do I have any questions to ask? And maybe it's like, maybe I don't, not today, you know? And, or is this important, you know? But like, because I have this job where, you know, things are different all the time. And there is always, you know, like a lot of times you'll notice in my music that certain cities that I visited end up, like the names of the cities end up in my songs, you know? So, so yeah, in that, and the other thing that's cool is with acting, there's a lot of time where you're just waiting around, you know, like I didn't have any auditions this week, right? So I could just be sitting around bored, but because I have my own project to work on, like my own creative project, it's like I had plenty to do this week, you know, and it feels important, and, you know, like I have the show coming up, so I'm making my set list, I'm making my merch for the show. Like it's almost like I have my other business. And I think that that's really beneficial when you're an actor because there is so much that's out of your control. Like I said, like there were no auditions this week, and like rather than like spinning my wheels and freaking out, it's like, okay, good. I have plenty of time to like write a new song right now, or get ready for my holiday show. So, so in that way, I find them to be extremely beneficial and really feed each other. Business wise, it can be very complicated because they are very different businesses. So it's just kind of a lot to learn and manage. And I would say scheduling wise, it can be a lot to manage. Like I have two separate managers, one for my acting and kind of writing, when I say writing, more like scripts, and I have like poems and things. And then I have another management team just for my music. So yeah, it just becomes kind of a lot, and trying to decide. The other challenge I would say is trying to decide what do I prioritize, right? So like last week, let's say I had a bunch of auditions, but I also knew I wanted to be all ready for my holiday show, you know. Honestly, that sounds great to me because I love being busy. But there are times in life, you know, where that becomes very overwhelming. So, so yeah, I hope that answered it.
No, it does. We talk to a lot of artists here on the program, and it always has amazed me that you'll be talking to somebody about a hit song that became like number one or whatever, and they're like, "Yeah, I wrote that in like I don't know 9 minutes." What is your what is your songwriting process like? Where do you draw
Yeah.
your inspiration?
Okay, so I probably take longer than 9 minutes to write songs. I tend to kind of have like There's an ebb and flow. I have had times in my life where I really felt like I needed to put myself almost like on a writing schedule, where it was like, okay, every morning I'm going to spend, about an hour or two just kind of like getting the ideas out. And then I have sometimes where, like, let's say I'm really busy with auditions or whatever, and it's more like, ooh, something is bouncing around in my head. My friend told me a story, and that phrase stuck with me. And wow, that really applies to my life because of this. And now I'm sort of just in my car, kind of putting together the puzzle pieces of a song. And then I finally go, okay, I need to sit down and like figure this out and then put it together, So where I just feel, really called to like sit down and write. So all of them are different, but generally I would say I will write or wander for a certain amount of time until I find some particular phrase or bit of, I guess, truth or something that feels important. And then I can sort of write around that phrase or bit of truth.
That makes sense.
If that makes sense.
No, of course it
so
does.
It's almost like a thesis. I always think of it as like, I find some phrase that is like almost like the thesis. And then the rest of the song is like, doesn't mean that it starts with that phrase or, is the chorus or anything like that. It might just be one line in the whole song, but it becomes sort of like the way that I build the rest of the song.
So listen, when you're not acting, auditioning, or making music, which is never, what do you enjoy doing in your downtime? You live where? New York City?
I live in LA actually now.
Oh,
I
you
used
do?
to live in
Oh,
New
no
York.
kidding.
Yeah. I love New York though. I lived there for about 9-10 years and then moved here. But it's a nice change. Yeah, I love to go see music. I'm like a big music fan. So I love making music. I know it seems kind of like but I genuinely, like, to me, going to see music is like a whole other thing besides making music. Like, it's a whole other, like, I am a music fan.
Junkie?
Like, I probably go to shows like at least like once a week. I try to. So yeah, that's what I do in my free time, to be honest. I also like reading. I have like a book club. I like, hanging out with friends, but yeah, I'm trying to think what else. I love yoga. I've been really into hot yoga lately.
That's big. That's
something different. Yeah. But yeah, if I was not doing acting or singing, I probably would, and I could just do whatever I wanted all day long, it'd probably be getting coffee, going to yoga, and going out to see music.
Perfect. Have you driven up the coast? Yeah, I used to live in California. It is years ago, but San Luis Obispo. Do you know the area? Central.
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
I do. I do know the area a bit.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever driven up that way. Let's talk about what is on your immediate horizon. Let's just start with musically. Any new releases?
I'll have some new music out next year, at the beginning of next year, and fun little secret is that, well, not really secret, but if you come to my holiday show, it's an online holiday show on Veeps, and if you just go to my Instagram or Twitter or whatever, it's the first ticket link in my bio, and I'm going to play at the show a preview of my first track I'm releasing next year, like a new track that no one's ever heard before. So another good reason to come to my holiday show is you'll get to preview my song before everyone else and before it's out.
What is the actual date? Is it like the 20th, 21st? What is
it? Yep, it's December 20th at 1 p.m., but that's Pacific Coast time, and so anywhere you are in the world, hopefully,
figure it out
it's
from
probably
there.
later in New York. Yeah.
4 o'clock here.
But what's great is is you can tune in anytime within the 24 hours. So even if you're not there like live, you can tune in like anytime within the next 24 hours or whatever after. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Are you going to be doing a tour after that or no?
I'm trying to put together a tour for next year, but nothing is like set.
Okay.
So, but be on the lookout. Probably late spring-ish. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, listen, I can never possibly. Oh, let's see. Well, someone wanted to know about the holiday show, how you can watch or listen, which of course you just said.
Yes, it's on a show. It's on Veeps. It's VEEPS.com is Veeps.com. You can either just search for Emily Kinney Holiday Show, or you can even just go to my Instagram or my TikTok, and at the link in my bio, you can click that, and it's tickets to Veeps, you know. So that's the way. And then there's also some special merch just for Veeps. So I have like limited edition pink vinyl that you can only get from Veeps. There's lyric sheets. So if you have like a favorite song, you can get handwritten lyric sheets.
All right, so
Polaroids, yeah, lots of fun stuff. So check it out.
here's the $1 million question. Now that we have each other's numbers, what are the chances that we get something, a little something, to give away later when we do some trivia or something? Can you find us a little?
Oh, sure.
Okay, fantastic. Well, good.
Yeah, we'll send you something. We'll send
good.
you some new. We got these like crew neck sweatshirts or a vinyl or something good like that.
Oh, awesome. One last question from from chat. Are there any particular musical artists that you're loving right now?
Well, I've been listening to, just like everyone else, this is not original. I've been listening to Chappell Roan and Sabrina Carpenter like nonstop. I'm so obsessed with them right now. It's kind of my thing. I also discovered this great artist. I'm going to give you Slim, hold on, how do you say it? It's just Slim Dan, SLIMDA, and I just discovered him, and he has this song called Magazines. Anyway, all of his songs are great, but I'm like listening to him a bunch because I feel like I like discovered him, you know, even though he's been around, he doesn't need me discovering him. He's already got like tons of fans. But if you guys don't know that, I just discovered him, so it's a good one too.
So we're going to be playing some of your music a little later in the program, but for now, just set this up for me if you would. We're going to be going to. So this particular program is on Twitch, kind of an odd platform for a music show, but it does allow me to do a variety of different things. One of which is to play music videos. So I call it Mike's Hard Drive Theater. Take me into, or give me the quick story behind you performing in Train's Bulletproof Picasso music video.
Yeah, I mean, they just asked me to be in it. I think this was quite a while back, and of course, I was such a huge fan of Train, so I was like, definitely, and it was a really good time, you know. I look back at that video and I think it turned out just so beautifully, and we got to shoot in so many cool locations, and yeah, out in the desert. I feel like it was just a really fun experience. I think we shot it all in 2 days. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. We got to drive a cool car.
It really is, and the cast of characters is amazing. But we're gonna be playing that. Someone in chat just said, "Hey, tell Emily I just got my holiday show ticket." So we will drive lots and lots of traffic your way. I'll reach out to you for a crew neck or something we're going to give away. I cannot thank you enough. I know you're super, super busy. It has been a complete joy for us. So thank you so much, Emily.
Yes, thank you for having me, and have a great night.
All right, thanks, and good luck with your holiday show. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay, bye.